my heart, I'm really a city kid. I enjoy Chicago. In fact, I love to roam downtown and kind of look at the architecture. In fact, I worked in the Monadnock building, which is one of the first skyscrapers in Chicago, 18 stories high. You know, architectural tours and just seeing the beauty of the city. And also I love to see feel the vibration and the energy that goes on. People rushing here and there and going on, and then the strollers along just kind of window shopping. It's delightful. And as part of that adventure in my life, many times my friends and I on a day would decide to go to the peninsula where the Adler Planetarium is. If you're sitting there, you get a picnic or maybe buy a hot dog from one of the stands or whatever, and look out over the city. And you see the beautiful skyline, you see the boats out in the lake, and you see the beauty of the people on bikes, strolling, walking, just kind of sitting there, you know, couples enjoying and families playing around that area. It's great. But if you look at the lake, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And this particular day, a group of us were out there, and sailboats were there, and their motor-powered boats and things like that. And suddenly we noticed that all of a sudden the sailboats started heading back to Monroe Harbor and Burnham Harbor. Okay, something's going on. And all of a sudden the wind shifted and the lake became a turmoil. It was really bad. I mean, you could see the waves just chopping and going, hither on. And there was one power boat that seemed to be like it was going back to Burnham Harbor, but it was on the north side of the planetarium. And the waves and the currents were so strong that it kept, and the wind was coming from the south for some reason or other, and it couldn't go anywhere. And it seemed as if it was going to get dashed against the rock around the planetarium. Well, eventually, I mean, it even started to rain, and we didn't even move because we were so mesmerized by what was going on. And if you take today's gospel, the Sea of Galilee is not unlike Lake Michigan. Very peaceful and calm and serene. But a storm can come up so fast that it changes everything. And that's what happened in the gospel today. And that's where the storms in life, I think, that the gospel is trying to tell us about. The first storm we hear about is in the book of Job. Job had everything. He was wealthy, he had a big farm, he had a large family, he had a lovely wife, and he had many friends. And suddenly everything was gone. His cattle died, his family was killed, his crops failed, and his friends said, "Where is your God during this time?" There is no God. And he said, "Yes, God is always with me. God is always there." And we talk about the patience of Job, but we also don't realize that eventually Job lost his patience. He said, "God, you know, I had everything and I've lost everything." Now, that was a society where the more you had, the more you were loved by God. And people were telling him, "God has deserted you." And he said, "Okay, God, what have you done? What have I done wrong?" And he said, "You haven't done anything wrong." "Well, why did you do this to me? Why did you do this? Where were you when I needed you the most?" And what happens? God tells Job, "I was there from before the beginning of the world. I am the one who created the heavens and the earth. I am the one who tamed the seas and put them into their proper basins. I am the one who created Adam and Eve. I am the one who walked with them even after they left the garden. And sometimes they felt alone, but I calmed them when I let my people know that in spite of their adversity, I was still with them." We have the same scene today in the gospel. They're out, you know, they probably had a long day, they were going to the next place, and suddenly all chaos broke loose. And there's Jesus sleeping in the back of the boat. "Hey, what are you doing? We're ready to die, and you're sleeping." And he said, remember, you have to have faith. And he calmed the waters. When our life becomes, when we're enjoying, say, the beauty of, say, the city or the beauty of our lives, and we look around and we see our family and friends, and we are in good health, and suddenly everything changes, we begin to say, okay, life has changed. But sometimes it becomes so burdensome for us that we say, okay, God, what are you doing to me? And many times we're not unlike Job. We're saying, where are you? And suddenly God, if we are open to God's Spirit, I'm here. I'm with you. Even in the darkest days of your life, I am with you. And don't forget, since the very creation of the world, since the sin of Adam and Eve, I have never given up on you. And I will be there to calm the storms in your life. But that means, like Job, sometimes we have to say enough is enough, but we also have to say, oh yeah, Lord, I get it. I'm with you. And maybe we're still sick. Maybe we still have all these ailments. Maybe things are still not going well in our lives. But at least we are not alone. And how do we know that? By our family and friends who are there. How many times have we been sick and somebody just shows up with maybe a bowl of chicken soup? Don't forget, I lived in Rogers Park. Bowl of chicken soup. Saying nothing, just knowing that they're there. Or it's just picking up the phone and we say, how you doing? I'm doing terrible. Okay, I understand, but they're there. And that's what it's all about. When we have faith, even though sometimes it gets stormy, if we stop a moment and say, I'm going through a very tough time, but I know that you are with me no matter what. And then suddenly there's peace and calm. How many times have we been on a lake and all of a sudden there's a big storm, and suddenly after the storm everything becomes peaceful and calm? That's one of the things I like about sometimes after a thunderstorm. After a thunderstorm and there's all kinds of chaos, and all of a sudden it stops and there's calm. When our lives are in trouble and we feel we have been abandoned, Jesus is not asleep in the back of the boat. He's there, and he calms the sea, and that gives us hope and the ability to move on and to say, I don't like this, but I know that you are with me all the days of my life.
Thank you for joining us for this celebration of the Mass. This virtual Mass is broadcast to hundreds of people every day of the week. Over 100 years ago, the very first celebrations of the Mass took place on the second floor of the Glenview Public House. It's been inconceivable that 100 years later, we would be reaching so many people all over the world through this technology. If you'd like to support the ongoing broadcasts of OLPH's Masses, please go to our website, go to Give Central, and you'd be able to support the ongoing outreach of this virtual ministry. Thank you for your support. Most of all, thank you for joining us in prayer. God bless you.